The COYGIG Pod and OTB Sports in association with Cadbury. A player and a half deserves a glass and a half of support.
Everyone ran their socks off tonight and they left everything out there. I'm very proud of the team's performance.
Let the shackles off Katie a bit so that she can go and play her game.
We're going to go out there to beat them. We're going to try and beat them.
Hello there, you are listening to episode 18 of the COYGIG Pod, OTB's home of everything WSL, Irish football and everything else in between. I'm Karen Duggan, and with me this week, another super co-captain to save the day, former guest of the pod who was so good that we asked her to fill in as co-host, Pearl Slattery. Pearl, here we are, a pea and a shell, breaking bread for the greater good. We're delighted to have you on board this week. Welcome to the pod.
Thanks a million, Karen. I'm just really happy we're still friends. We
haven't played each other yet, so that's why we had to get you in this
I'm
early.
wondering, will I get an invite now when we play each other in a few weeks' time? Please God, I do. Please God.
Well, Emma Carroll will be on a little later on to mediate if we do need it, but she'll be here with her WSL Team of the Week, and after that, Birmingham and Ireland's Louise Quinn will be with us. Pearl, not a great weekend for her and her Brummy Irish contingency this weekend. The FA Cup, we expected them to lose, I guess. They were playing Chelsea, who are love domestic success. Basically, they're going to want to win everything. Yeah, so 5-0 win for Chelsea to be expected, basically.
Yeah, I think so. I think if you look at the quarterfinals in general, there was no real shock. They were all, I suppose, the results that we all expected. And in fairness to Birmingham, they did well. They stuck in it for a while, but, quality's got to show. And Chelsea are just absolutely in flying form. And I think I look at like Chelsea and Arsenal in the WSL, they remind me of Liverpool and City. They're just edging each other on, the quality, the standards they're both setting, and it's continuing into the cup. And, decent, obviously the captain getting a goal just before half time kind of settled the nerves. Because obviously, look, the longer the game went on, Birmingham are staying in it.
Especially in a cup tie, you think, maybe it'll be one of those moments.
Absolutely, because when I was watching it, I was thinking the longer this game goes on now, if Birmingham and look, in fairness, they probably scored at a perfect time. And Spence then obviously, getting on the score sheet in the 50th minute. And, she's done well. I think that was her 50th goal for Chelsea. And I think she got an assist in the game as well. So, look, she doesn't play week in, week out, but when she does, like a lot of Emma's players, they come in, they make their mark, don't they? And that just tells you
just shows the quality and the depth that they have.
The type of squad they have is incredible. Beth England then 2 goals, again another quality player that's been kept out by Claire. If you look at the seasons, not getting in as much as she'd probably like, so she's another one now, and that's brilliant, healthy competition. When players are coming on in a cup game or whatever game it might be, they want to make their mark, and as a manager, as a squad, that's the kind of competition you want. And then obviously Charles round off. So yeah, look, as expected, Karen, absolutely.
Yeah, and we that strength and depth, we've spoken about it before, but when City had all their injury problems, they were just imploding at the start of the year. We didn't know what kind of season it would turn out, but when they got those players back, they've upped at a level in the last few weeks. They beat Everton very easily, again 4-0. Tough week for Everton in general. Led by Lauren Hemp, who we speak about quite often on this podcast. What a talent she is. But City going like they're going from strength to strength.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I can't get enough of Lauren Hemp. I probably haven't been on it to voice my love for her, but like, she's what you want from a winger, isn't she? So direct, so dynamic. She's just involved, and I do wonder, obviously when they had the injury, she was still their sparkling light, if you want. Yeah, like she was the one keeping them, I suppose, there and thereabouts. They're sitting, I think, 4th in the league now. They have this cup semi-final now to look forward to, and I think they're growing in form, and obviously having Bronze and the likes back from injury. And I think Caroline Weir as well deserves a lot of credit. She's obviously been, a few weeks ago, wasn't getting in, and it has come in then the last few weeks. I've seen her goal as a trade goal from her, picks her up with a second ball in the midfield and drives at them, and then with that one, the left foot, it was lovely, and then Ellen White then rounding it off for them, which is, she's the ultimate number 9 for me. She's nothing fancy, Karen. She plays in between the posts. She scores your scruffy goals, type of centre.
Every team needs one, though. Team needs a player that can do that. And you know what? They're
not around enough. I'm telling you, everyone, teams overplay so much, where Ellen White is just constantly plays in between the lines and rounded off. But yeah, another, I suppose, result we were expecting. And as you said, a tough week or so for everything.
Yeah, and another striker who's banging form is Blackstenius for Arsenal. Obviously, we're not looking forward to facing her from an Irish perspective, but she got the opener, a header. She can do it all really, head, feet, like score scrappy ones, score good ones. Paris got in on it. Miedema obviously inevitably scored, but playing against Coventry, like you say, an inevitable result.
Expected, but for the likes of Blackstenius, it was good because it took her a while, I felt, to get into the rhythm of the WSL, and now she seems to be flying, which is brilliant. And look, playing with the likes of Miedema and Mead is only going to help her. But I was also looking at the starting 11 Friday night when the game was on. It was a great opportunity to play the likes of Heath, Paris, who's not played much, Nobbs, who, if you remember a few years ago, Karen, was probably the fourth pick in the Arsenal team and hasn't really been getting too many minutes with the quality they brought in. Beattie as well, getting, I suppose, a little run in the cup, which was great for Arsenal because I suppose for the manager it was perfect timing to get players like that they haven't got much in. But look, 4-0, move on to the next, focus on the league. I think for them, delighted to be in the semi-final, but I would have been shocked now if
it would have gone any other way.
But an Arsenal win. So
the closest game then was West Ham, and they won 1-0 over Ipswich. They had a big game midweek, so they rested a couple of players. They just had that little bit more class to edge out Ipswich, but big credit to Ipswich, obviously championship team.
Yeah, they showed a good fight as well. I felt
goalkeeper played really well in particular.
Yeah, I was just about to say she made some cracking saves. I think it was the 30-odd minute. I think Lisa Evans got the goal, and look, she signed from Arsenal, didn't she? So West Ham have a lot of expectations for her, and perfect. Scoring the winner in the cup game. They'd have been expecting stuff like that out of Lisa Evans, and obviously just to mention West Ham as well, Robin Jess Sue on us as well, so they'll have
I was gonna get to that.
nice little player now coming into our squads in the summer. My heart is broke because obviously I've seen Jess come up since a young age, but look, like you, Karen, when we see anybody moving on from the Women's National League, it's brilliant. I'm excited to see how she gets on, and look, a great little cup win for West Ham. They'd be delighted. They're sitting mid-table 6th, I think, the WSL, and now cup semi-final to look forward to. So look, all looking good for them.
It is, and they were the ones that threw the spanner in the work midweek in the WSL games. Obviously, Arsenal weren't playing, so Chelsea had a chance to pop in. But the West Ham Man United result was that 1-1 draw. That puts the cat amongst pigeons for that Champions League place, because Man United have been going really well. They looked like they were going to see out this kind of tough game away to West Ham, miserable conditions. But then 92nd minute, Fisk popped up with an equaliser. Mark Skinner will be fuming with that.
Oh, kicking himself. And I think when I was watching it, when she scored the goal, I didn't even know who had actually scored, but I was thinking, what a killer. But the opposite header for Man City now. I think 3 points behind them now. I think they have a game in hand. Am I right in saying that, City? So all to play for now. Like, look, the first and second spots a battle, and then third and fourth. I mean, what more?
It's really exciting.
And as you said, like, looking at that result, I thought, United, just the form they were in, and the standards they've been setting. Obviously, Diana's went in as well and has been slotting in brilliantly, which is brilliant to see. Like, great for her, and interesting results. So look, fascinating last few weeks of this season. I can't wait. And 3 points in it now between the two Manchester sides. It's very interesting.
Yeah, Man City so impressive against Reading, and 2-0 winners. They're just firing. I know. It was one of those games. Okay, it looked 2-0. It doesn't look like anything, but in terms of possession and shots, I think Grace Maloney faced something like 12 shots on target. They had 30 in general, and Reading had 1. And like, that just kind of tells the story of the game. Similarly, Everton 3-0 winners, again, comfortable. Everton, who we thought were maybe turning the corner last week, back to their kind of old ways.
Look,
kind of a write-off of a season for them.
Jesus, Grace, just going back to the Reading game, she pulled off some saves. Look, unlucky, but as you said, 2-0 probably doesn't, do it justice. I mean, Grace was keeping them out for a long period. And Hems, I just can't say any more about her. And obviously, Demi Stokes then coming up with the force with a nice left foot, as she's done over the years. And then, tough week for everything. I think, I was listening to Emma's interview after the game, and she said it was nice to have other goal scorers other than Kerr on the score sheet. It's nice to, I suppose, not just depend on Kerr, although she did score, to have other scorers. Obviously going to be so important coming to the last few games of the league as well. But tough week for everything.
Yeah, and we obviously can't have a Shelburne captain on the pod without having a bit of WNL talk. You obviously were away to Athlone. It's one of those that we expect Shelburne to win it, but it's a potential banana skin. Athlone are a very difficult team to play against. I don't think people realise. They see some of the score lines, maybe they're not picking up points, but I've found them very, very difficult to play against. How did you find them at the weekend?
Oh, that's what, like, I suppose my main focus coming up to that game is, like you've said there, Karen, people expect us to win that game, but it was never going to be that easy. And I suppose from the Monday to the Saturday game, we were, driven on that we knew how tough it was from last season. It took us 60 odd minutes to get our first goal last season, so we knew it was going to be a battle. I mean, since they've come into the league last year, they've done so well, and especially when you play them in Athlone, it is tough. I mean, we went in, 30 odd minutes gone, and there was nothing between us really in that game. And look, obviously delighted to come out with a 2-0 win, but they've some cracking players. They've made new signings. They've an American girl, I think she is up front now. Their top three are a threat. They've obviously Mirren Devani and centre mid, who you all know well and had plenty of battles with, I'm sure. Yeah. But definitely, away to Athlone is a tough
one
ground
to watch, definitely. How Athlone progressed during the year. And speaking of progress, just want to give a shout out to Sligo. Picked up their first points, pretty historic. They've settled into the league. Obviously, they had a tough start. They were missing a couple of players against us at Peamount on that first game, but to come away from a Cork game with a win, to get 3 points on the board this early, big credit to them.
Yeah, it's brilliant. They obviously was looking at the game, their last home game there in the crowd they got, which was, we were only talking on the last podcast, Karen, wouldn't it be great? Other clubs now could start getting a crowd, and I mean, that's unbelievable for the Women's National League. So it was brilliant then a week later for them to go away to Cork after, two tough results and to get that win. I know young Emma Doherty, she's a cracking little player. Then, what a finish from Gemma McGuinness as well to put them 1-0 up. So a great buzz for them. And I suppose it's nice to see that, they've come into the league, and I mean, you don't want them losing every single week. And look, with Hans as a captain and their manager, there's a good squad there, a good group. And, hopefully now that they can drive on a little bit now, a bit of confidence from that win away to Cork, which is not easy.
Yeah, and then I suppose the other standout game that a lot of the top half of the table would have been looking at was the meeting of DLR Waves and Galway, two teams who a lot of people have tipped to break into the top two, top three this season. It ended in a draw. I suppose from our point of view, that's a good result for us, that they took points off each other, but two quality sides seeing it out. So yeah, an interesting battle there.
Yeah, definitely. I think from last season, we know DLR and Galway can get a result at any stage. And both
I know it too well.
I didn't want to mention it again. We spoke about that last week. Yeah. It's a new season, Karen. It's a new season. Yeah.
We have the rest of the podcast to get through as friends as well. So, yeah.
Well, yeah, look, they're definitely pushing. And, DLR, Galway, they'll want to be in the top three. Obviously, I think we'd heard it was 1-0 at one stage to DLR. And we were thinking, geez, that would have been 3 out of 3 for DLR. And then, in fairness to Galway, pulled one back late on. I heard then, either side could have won it, but in terms of ourselves and Wexford, it's a good result, definitely. Yeah. Any of the top 5, I suppose, dropping points to each other is a good result for the rest of us,
Yeah, and I think it just goes to show how tight it's going to be at the top. Well, thanks for that input there, Pearl. The COYGIG Pod on OTB Sports in association with Cadbury FC, official snack partner to the Republic of Ireland Women's National Team. If you have any opinions, suggestions or thoughts on what we've just been discussing, get them into us on Twitter on @offtheball using the hashtag OTB COYGIG. We would love to hear them. Now it's that time of the pod. Things were a bit more spread out with the FA Cup this week, but Emma, who have you gone for in your team of the week?
Yeah, it feels like a long time since most of these matches happened, so I have inserted a few FA Cup players just to tide us over with the lack of fixtures this week.
Well, we won't fight with you on that. We usually fight with you on a lot of things, but we'll allow it this week.
So I've gone for Maloney in goal, McCabe, Flaherty, Caldwell and Bronze at the back. Midfield 2 of Spence and Little, and then Paris, Cuthbert, Hemp and Kerr up front.
Yeah, do you know what? I'm delighted for you. You must have in, but you got 2 in this week. Normality is a special shout out to Grace Maloney, because like we said before, she faced an onslaught in that game against Man City, and to have kept it to 2-0 was a massive feat. I know often when they score more than one goal, we don't like to put the goalie in there, but you couldn't ignore the pressure she was under in that game.
Yeah, she done so well. Like, she kept it. I think it was maybe around the 65th. It was when Lauren Hemp came on where they actually ended up getting a goal. But yeah, she was just excellent. Like, it could have been like 6 by half time nearly. Like, some of the saves that she made was just, she definitely deserves a spot this week. And lucky me.
Yeah,
that I get to put her in there.
And obviously you mentioned Hemp. Me and Pearl were speaking about her. She's nearly a constant in there at that.
She couldn't not go in there. Yeah, she came on, I think, about the 60th minute in the WSL game, and then I think she went off around 65 in the FA Cup game, and in that period of time she got 3 goals and 1 assist, I think. So
ridiculous.
She's just ridiculous. And it could have been more. I think she hit a couple off the post as well. So she's probably one of the players of the season so far.
Yeah, and we're starting to see more and more Man City players creeping in because they are obviously showing a lot of quality. You also have Lucy Bronze in there.
She's getting back to her best, I think. And she plays right back, but she's a bit like, you know, if you look at the Premier League, like Trent Alexander-Arnold and Cancelo, where she just drives into the middle and she could be nearly a 10, or else she is just down that wing and she's whipping balls in. And a lot of City's goals actually came from her starting off the play and her whipping balls in. I just thought she's getting back to her best.
Actually, I was watching the game. She was so direct then, wasn't she? She spent a lot of the game in the opposition's half, and she loves those little runs inside or outside. And as you said, I think she's coming back to her best. I think, she was out for a long time. The first few weeks she was just finding her feet, and now we're really starting to see Lucy Bronze, like the old Lucy Bronze. But I want to just give a little mention to Kim Little. I don't know if you've seen that clip.
Same, I was dying to bring it up. I was like,
oh my God. Like, I was saying to Karen earlier, I was over at the Arsenal and Birmingham game, and I was just watching her. I mean, it just looks like she just constantly has space. Nobody can get near her. She just floats around the pitch, like, as elegant as you like. And that little clip then during the week just summed her up. 2 players all over, and she just turns out of it, not a bother to her. So well-deserved mention for Kim Little, I think.
Yeah, I think she's one that can nearly go into the team nearly every week.
I would never argue with it. No, yeah. Another person who's kind of like that is Sam Kerr. We spoke about just having an out-and-out 9, someone who just has that eye for goal. She was back on it again this week.
Yeah, I went with Kerr because she played the WSL match, and I was trying to keep the team WSL focused.
Who was challenging her?
Well, Beth England scored 2 goals and was really good in the FA Cup as well. And then Blackstenius was brilliant as well. But I think we've given Blackstenius a lot of love over the last few weeks. So
yeah, we need to taper it off before the international game.
Exactly. Yeah, we don't want down.
We're making our head very big here before she plays here.
I'm sure she's flat out telling all her mates how much we're talking about her.
Yeah, exactly. No, I just think Kerr is instrumental, and she has just been scoring for fun in the last recent weeks, and we haven't given her much mention. So yeah, I think she just gets the nod because, as I said, I was trying to go with a bit more of the WSL than leaning into the FA Cup. But
and what's your opinion there? Chelsea obviously a couple of points off. Are they your favourites at the moment? Are we afraid to say it?
Yeah.
It's so tight at the top. It is.
I suppose we probably have a bit of a soft spot for Arsenal, I think, because of just the history there with Irish players, and obviously McKay being there as well. You kind of want them to win it, but Chelsea might have the momentum.
Ooh, big call. Well, thank you so much again, Emma. Not a hybrid team of the week between FA Cup and WSL, but actually very much in agreement with this. So what do you reckon at home? Do you reckon Emma nailed it like we did? Was anyone left out? Are we entirely wrong? Let us know. Get your thoughts and opinions into us on Twitter using @offtheball and the hashtag OTB COYGIG. Now joining us on the podcast is someone we can fairly safely say is one of the greats of the Irish football team, Louise Quinn. We've had your housemates on. We've been waiting to get you on. Delighted you're here with us. Thanks a million for joining.
I know, it's all they talk about. It's all they've been bragging about. And I've been waiting for my invitation, and I'm happy it's here.
I must have got lost in the post. I don't know what that's about. We'll have a word with the producers. No, we're delighted to have you on. Obviously, you've got many stories to tell. Long, illustrious career. Not saying you're old or anything. Many more years left in the tank. But you've had lots of ups and downs, highs and lows. Where would you say Lakeside FC losing to Piltown AFC in the community games under 14 semi-final ranks in terms of those lows?
Am I going to bring up the controversial scenario in
you bring up what you want, but just know that I have the inside scoop on the people who edit this podcast, so
right, yeah, I'll keep going. I'll talk about this for the full 20 minutes. Listen, I think it's obviously something that's shaped me as a person, but when someone who actually doesn't live in the parish is playing for Piltown, I actually find that's tough. That goes against the morals of what
parish is a state of mind.
The community games about what community games are about, Karen.
Sorry, we go way back. And obviously after Lakeside we joined up at Peamount. You then moved to Eskilstuna in Sweden. That was an interesting one. So you'd obviously finished up in UCD at that point and gone to Carlow. I think I remember you playing for Carlow and probably the most stacked intervarsities team I've ever seen. It was cheating, I actually felt. But the deal to go to Sweden, that's not something that many people would have done around that time in particular. It wasn't as many people going pro. How did that move come about?
To be honest with you, it actually started with obviously it was in my mind that I wanted to kind of get abroad, but really it really started from Fiona O'Sullivan. I was rooming with her in the national team. She was just like, Lou, this is for you. And I was just like, I don't know,
she's convincing you. I would do what I'm told by her as well.
Yeah, literally. And so she was like, right, here you go, here's an agent, let's just give it a go, see if you like something. If you don't, doesn't, just as long, she's just like, I just think you should give it a go. And that was kind of it. And that was almost like the step into Carlow as well, was actually more just training every day at a high level with men, and obviously a lot, so many talented women as well that we had in our team. And it was for me, it was trying to just make that step up, and then obviously just wait for that moment to try get abroad when seasons kind of fitted. And I got a chance in a second division team in Sweden, Eskilstuna, and they were just looking to want to grow the team so much. And I feel like the trajectory of that is probably, I couldn't have had it better, to be honest.
Yeah, fit in probably with your own ambitions. You were, like you said, dipping your toe into professionalism, so you didn't want to go somewhere, not play games, and it maybe backfire a little bit on you. And we've seen that a little bit, girls going abroad and maybe having to go out on loan and stuff. So to find the right fit, kind of first time of asking, was a big thing, because you stayed there for a good long period.
Yeah, I was there for 4 seasons, and it was, literally get promoted the first year, then get into the Damallsvenskan, so the top league, finish a really respectable mid-table, and then we should have actually won the league in the 3rd year, that had happened, but we still got Champions League out of it. And it was just something, that it just taught me everything, that I kind of needed to know, even about myself as a person, how to be a professional. The lifestyle there is very, they're just very healthy, and they're all vibrant and, great. Everything they do. Yeah, I know. Spice. But they were just, it was just great in that way. But everything was for the national team, basically. The reason I was doing it was I wanted to be, the starting centre back in the national team for as long as I could, really.
Yeah, that's an interesting point. Go ahead,
Karen, sorry, just on that, just in terms of moving to Sweden, then obviously I played against you a few times with Peamount. I'll never forget trying to win headers against you on the pitch. I definitely didn't miss that when you moved on. But was moving to Sweden, as you said, you were away in the professional life, and did it help you then? Obviously you moved on to Arsenal then. I think you had 4 years with Arsenal then, but I mean, what was the big difference from moving from National League then to a professional environment like Sweden, and then obviously leading into Arsenal, Fiorentina, and then, to Birmingham now, where you're at now,
Yeah, I think it was just the complete change about just training every day. And even again, we were this, I think just the culture in Sweden was perfect, because they almost act not professional from a young age, but everything they do in school is actually based around sport. and it's about mixed sport, and it's about like equality in the country, like everything about it. You know, you do your PE classes, we used to coach some of the football teams that were in school. We used to have to just grade them by just playing football, and that was maybe even just their attitude, not even their ability, but just like how they tried to take it on. We were, you know, they lift, you know, weights from about 40, like could be from like 14, 15, obviously very basic stuff, just general movements. Then there's, you know, there were some of them then that were literally squatting more than we could. Like that's how talented some of them were. And it just brought a base that, you know, sport is the biggest, you know, a massive part of life. You know, and it just kind of bred that environment. And then so it was so hard not to take it on and not to do it. And I was then, you know, living with Ayla Barsley for the whole time, and I would have found it really difficult if she wasn't there. You know, we were literally stuck at the hip for the 3-4 years that I was there. But then we also lived with a Swede then as well, so we were just copying what she was doing. We're like, she's great, she's healthy, she's like a great footballer, let's just do what she's doing. And it was literally, I still take, you know, even how I kind of approach food and everything forward from the time that I was in Sweden. It just taught me so much.
Oh, that's so interesting, because even when you're looking at lineups, when you look at the Swedes, underage right the way through to senior, they all have this kind of Scandinavian like physique. There's not one of them who'd say doesn't look like a professional athlete. And that's not to take away from us in Ireland. We obviously come in all shapes and sizes, and you should be able to play like that. But they just seem to have a different base. Do you think that that's something in Ireland we need to look at? Pearl, obviously you're really involved in the underage structures, but we're only kind of getting those programs running now. They obviously started from somewhere like that as well. Do you think we need to be getting into primary schools? What do you think that will take us to the next level? Like, yeah, for me, it just has to be the schools. And I just saw it firsthand, and some of it is so simple. And that was, you know, and it works then both ways. So a massive part of Eskilstuna's success was that we just literally submerged ourselves in the community. Like there was times I was teaching English lessons, and I was like, I don't have a clue what I'm doing, but they're going to listen to this. It's like me on this podcast.
Exactly. Yeah. Exactly. Don't know what you're doing, but you're doing it really well. But no, like that was actually it. Like we were a part of everything. We taught PE classes, we taught English classes. Sometimes, like, I mean, you would just go in and actually talk about football and your career, and just try ask people questions and just start a conversation with teenagers. And then that would then some of them be like, oh yeah, I really like football. And then we were the biggest club in the town, and it was just like the community just completely trusted us. Like me and Vela did a bake off in the town. We stood outside in the rain, handed out tickets to games. We literally did everything. We were like a babysitting service at times as well. You know, we just did it all. But then we started with 200 people coming to games, and at like our highest peak, I think it was around 6,500 people coming to games. Wow. And they actually had to put extra seats into the stadium to get it done. Like, that's how far it went. And it was purely just, we were the biggest team in the city, like bigger than any the 2 or 3 men's teams that we had.
There's definitely a lesson there for what Irish teams could be doing as well, just in terms of putting yourself out there and piquing interest in, it's kids mostly, like realistically in the women's game, but they're the kids who will grow up to hopefully join your club and continue the legacy there. So it's really interesting. There's obviously a lot we have to learn, and you obviously did sports management as well. So you can bring all that knowledge hopefully back to Ireland someday, and we'll see Louise Quinn academies in Kildare.
I'll just in Wicklow.
Wicklow, sorry.
School
in Kildare.
I did go to school in Kildare and played football in Dublin. Yeah.
It is a big one though, Louise, because obviously you're the ambassador as well, aren't you, at the primary fives, like, and we see it in the FAI, Karen, that on those programs, like, we get a lot of girls participating, but then it's turning that into getting them into clubs and actually playing and staying and playing the game. And that's I suppose, a big challenge we have in this country. So it's interesting to hear the ways you go in and to go and support the games. So what has it been like in, I suppose, any of the countries you've played in the last few years, in terms of when you are going into the schools? Are the clubs trying to capture the players to, because a lot of the schools, I would have worked as a development officer, a lot of the schools you go in, you tell the girls about it, and they don't really even know where their local club is at times, which is, quite frightening. So there's a lot of learning for us in terms of skills and the impact it can have. But it's turning those participation figures, if you like, into registered players. And that's what we're trying to, I suppose, aim to do over the next few years, especially in this country,
Yeah, so I would say by far Sweden, in Sweden it was the best. I think obviously the game now in England, and even when I first went into the league, was huge. But then I don't know if it was just that I was with Arsenal at the time, that if maybe there's a little bit of, I'm not gonna say like snobbery to it. It's kind of like, oh, we're not going to go out looking for fans or going to schools and encouraging people. We're like, we're Arsenal. Whoever,
legacy is their thing, as opposed to having
exactly, because it was always something, like where you always want to do more in the community. And there was an absolutely brilliant, don't get me wrong, a brilliant setup, especially right in by the Emirates Stadium, and it's called like the Arsenal Hub, and loads of school kids go in there. But we were based out towards St Albans and Boreham Wood, and I was like, there's not one time that you can maybe see just a bunch of school kids, maybe with a teacher or maybe with something, that are actually, oh yeah, we heard about the game, someone came to the school. It was very rare. And then that would be kind of the same, the same in Italy. It wasn't massively a thing, and you can see such a kind of difference in that. But obviously I think teams' reputations in England stands them, and that's how you're going to get a lot of fans. But but I've done a lot now with like Blues in the community as well, so again going into kind of like inner city and stuff like that, and I just love it. And there's such a diverse population in Birmingham as well. So I went in like right very close to the stadium, and they were like, right, we kind of need to walk through this like back gate. We're just going into a field. It was pitch black, but I could just see like lights up in the distance, and going, and there was just a bunch of girls there, kind of South Asian community, and it was like they were under, like if you were in a studio and someone just brought like 4 lights and just put them on each corner of the pitch. So it was only like barely a 20 by 30 square, but these girls, and it was pitch black, it was freezing, like literally they were like, just be careful when you're walking through, like watch your foot, and there's loads of stuff around, but these girls and then 2 goals, and they were just having a whale of a time. Like it didn't matter how you can set up football, as long as you can, and just giving people opportunities. But I think coming to that and just trying to get players like ourselves involved, it would be something as well.
That's it. The girls want to play, but if they're going to run into, say, a Louise Quinn and just casually run in and have a chat with her, and you kind of tell them, well, these are the beginnings that I had as well. Like they'll start to see, oh, well, this is maybe something that I can start to achieve. I live around the corner from the stadium. Why not? But it's great. So if you can tell from the way you're speaking that you already have a big affinity to the Birmingham and to the community. You're not there that long, but you came in and obviously so highly regarded that they made you captain straight away. So I'm just really interested in that, because sometimes you can go into a club and you're made captain maybe and it doesn't work out. Harry Maguire. But what was that like? How did you approach the dressing room? Because it's a new club, brand new people. You want to go in, you want to make friends. Obviously, it's a new part of the country for you. I suppose you were lucky you had some friends there already, so you already had kind of like a comfort level. But it must have been a new dynamic to go in as captain.
Yeah, that was definitely, I think it was one of those, and not that it was made easier, but almost the entire group was new. And then we had about 7 Irish as well, which was just great. So they were just used to it. No, but it was one of those where, like, I don't know, I think, everyone could come in, kind of, stamp their authority. Obviously at the time when Scott was coming in, he was telling me that he was trying to, sign me a few years back as well. So maybe it was just something that he had in his head. But obviously I was genuinely surprised, because as you say, I've literally just signed. You come in, and you're actually trying to find your own feet as well, to be honest. So it was like trying to get that balance of, okay, we have about 16 new girls here, and it was fairly open that the club was going through a difficult stage, and obviously that was the girls that were there. So Harriet Scott and Christy Murray, Rebecca Holloway were already there and had been through it and kind of knew so much about the club. But for me then it was like I just went in straight away and just had to learn everything, especially what happened the season before, and just see where, like, what can be changed and where. And for me I'm still learning massively there. Like I'm 31 now, but I haven't always been like a captain. I think I've always been like a leader in a team, but then like Pearlie now, like it's a captain. It is just that slightly different dynamic of when things maybe aren't going well, you really kind of you take it on, and it's one of those tough moments and dynamics when things just aren't going well. You do take it on, and you kind of feel to blame sometimes, even though.
Yeah, Louise, I was actually going to ask you, I was talking to Karen earlier, I was dying to, I suppose, wreck your brain about the whole captaincy thing, and obviously being in the WSL. And it's funny you've brought up that point, because one of my first questions would have been, obviously is there now fighting obviously at the bottom of the league, and with great pride. Look, I've been watching this the last few weeks. I was obviously over at your game at Arsenal as well, and I'd met you then. But just in terms with, fighting relegation, and I would have felt that, the last 2 or 3 years with Shells, when we hadn't won anything, it was like a weight on my shoulder almost. As captain, you feel everything. And as you said, it's like you put so much pressure on yourself. And I'd be just interested to hear, I suppose, how you're dealing with it personally, fighting relegation, and then how you're keeping the group motivated. Obviously, when you are, I suppose, losing, and then obviously fighting that relegation battle, and how are you keeping the environment going and the group, as I said, motivated?
Personally, it's kind of, I think genuinely in the last 2 years, I've learned so much about myself, just the challenges that have come kind of in football. So and that's down to even stuff with the Irish team, that the pure disappointment of not qualifying for Euros. That's gonna stick with me, all the time. But I also I use that as a bit of fuel, as well. And then obviously going, if we're going to go pandemic, but then you're like, not having a contract with Arsenal, that being up, basically I had got rejected. It was kind of like I wanted to stay in England, but there wasn't a really opportunity there for me. So that's why I basically had to go to Italy, and it wasn't actually maybe a path that I was thinking about taking. I kind of wanted to stay in England. And so that was to move then, in July, the start of the pandemic, and to completely, I already hadn't seen my family properly, in a few months. And then I just had to unpack and go to Florence, which is obviously stunning. But when you're kind of doing that out on a limb, not going to go and what's happening, I think I just really, I'm far more kind of relaxed, and my head is more relaxed, because I'm kind of like, what, I've been through it now. I think I've hit that thing where I'm kind of like, been there, done that, got the t-shirts. Like, it's football, we love it. What is the worst that can happen? That if you do lose a game, or if you go down, yes, in the moment it's really difficult, but it has me personally, it's made me, I think, like a better person and player for it. Even though obviously in the moment it's really difficult. And I think just trying to get that across to the girls, and it genuinely is something, it's so disappointing after some games. But honestly, the group are so good. Like, you know, spirits are still high. We still love going into training every day, and it's
Still
like,
fighting,
like there's still so much fight, and there's so much to be said for, like, at least if you know, I just kind of keep telling them, just do your best. If you literally can just say that you've really tried everything, left it all on the pitch, left it all on the training pitch, left it all in the gym, you know, everything that you do in your own personal life, that you've just kind of given everything, well, surely, you know, you can actually just hold your head up and be like, you know what, we've done our best. And in this, and now it's proving in this league that if you actually don't have the investment and the money, it is going to make teams kind of suffer a little bit. And again, it is quite open that that Blues, the funding that's going into the women's side, it's a lot lower compared to the other WSL other teams. So yeah, it is getting to the stage where, you know, it's just trying to keep people motivated and just literally just try keep them happy on the pitch. And I think the new coaches that have come in as well definitely brought a new energy and have this, you know, new spirit as well about the play. So at least we're still going in, enjoying going training every day. But I think maybe there obviously is still some kind of mental blocks when we go into games, playing with a bit of fear. And I think that's something that you can kind of only with experience learn how to get rid of it, to be honest.
God, you've hit on so many issues that women have to face in sport there, between like contracts being out and just resources and all the rest of it, the highs and lows. But you're like, when you speak, like the leadership exudes out of you. You were vice captain for a long time, obviously, in your team. You'd captained underage teams and then under Sue Ronan. And then when Colin came in, and obviously Emma Byrne retired, we kind of thought that it would just be a natural fit for you to step up into captaincy. But Colin obviously wanted to put his own stamp on things. Was there a part of you that was disappointed with that? I know you were still quite young at that point. Were you disappointed, or was it just you took the approach that I'm still going to be a leader of this team? Because obviously you said you even moved abroad for the national team. And I think that that's a common thread. I think most people, they don't go, like I said, you don't go abroad to make your millions. You don't even know if you have a contract from one season to the next. It is to represent your country, for most Irish girls who are abroad. It was just something that I kind of thought of from my time there. Is there anything just in that, any little hint of F him? He's gone. He won't. I'm sure he's not listening.
Oh yeah, no, he's definitely not listening. And I really don't care. But it's that was in. But it was that was definitely something, and it is something I haven't overly spoken about. And but you know, at the time, and maybe obviously you were in the group, it definitely was something that I was disappointed about. But not to, you know, I think it was more just the process that was kind of taken towards it, because nothing should ever be given, and you should never just assume that that's going to happen. But it obviously was at the time a role that I was, just enjoying. And then when you have, you know, Emma Byrne, who's the leader and the captain,
leader,
you know what I mean? You know what I mean? And you're just kind of like, this is absolutely grand. And you just try learn from her. And it's just been something, where I've tried to be a leader in every team. But I think, it was the approach that was taken, that it was actually Casey who told me, the like 20 minutes before it was being announced, you know, and Katie at the time was she was 21, I think, 21, at the time. Like, that is, you know, and that was just something that popped into her head to be like, you know, first
check in with Louise.
But obviously it was I think it was a real surprise to all of us.
Definitely.
But is this, as in, like, you know, the best thing that could have happened? Absolutely. But back in that stage, it was kind of like, wow, this is a shake-up. This is...
Well, there was a few bits like that going on around that time. It wasn't the smoothest transition for Colin to come in, or also the way he put his stamp on things. I think there was a lot of unexpected things happened 2017-ish, you know.
Exactly. But like, and that was the same. There was Anya in that group. There was Fahy in that group. You know what I mean? Like there's, you know, there were so many leaders and all that stuff. But for me, it's just Jimmy but how Casey approached it. I think, you know, she's been
fantastic for such a young age. Yeah, the way she's grown into the role.
Yeah, I think it was tougher in the first couple of years to take that responsibility. You could see it. You could see that you just want to give her the freedom.
That's the thing that I would have thought out. Like she's a street player. She lives off that kind of like boldness, but she's obviously like infiltrated that kind of leadership into the way she plays and stuff now. So she's absolutely bossing it there. On positive notes, in terms of Ireland, things are going, dare we say it, they're going very well. They're on track. I mean, I was saying it to Niamh Fahey, we wouldn't have spoken about qualifying for a World Cup really before. It would have been maybe we'll hope for the Euros, but things are going well. You're up there in the 90s caps, like you'll be catching Niamh there soon. So how are you feeling going into camp? You're going in quite soon.
Yeah, we're going in the 5th of April. We'll be going in, starting the camp in Ireland, and then we'll travel over to Sweden then.
Nice easy one.
Yeah, grand.
handy.
Don't mind. Sure, look, but that's
Well, at least their striker isn't in great form.
No, I don't know. Can't even. Which one? No, I don't know.
She doesn't play for Arsenal.
No, I don't know.
You haven't seen her recently or anything.
Yeah, you're one. Yeah, you're one with blonde hair anyway.
That narrows it down.
Yeah. But no, like I say, we're just on track. And I think again, it is one of these scenarios where, you really wouldn't have expected to be qualifying now for a World Cup, but everything's just going on track. I think we have learned obviously a lot from the last campaign, and it's the cliche, it's the take each game as it comes. But I don't think we did that in the last campaign, you know, and a lot happened. Obviously, pandemic happened, and then you just started thinking forward, or things were paused, and you were like, oh, this is the game, this is the one. Whereas in, you know, even now against games like Sweden, sometimes you're kind of like, okay, we're going to find it really difficult to get points here. You kind of, we better make sure we're kind of thinking about, you know, these being realistic as well. It's not like admitting defeat. It's actually just kind of looking, right, where can we really pick up our points? But now we're approaching this Sweden game, and it's kind of like, you know what, if we don't come out with at least a point, it's you know, that's going to be a disappointing result for us. I think just how we're approaching games, how people are performing, and just the buzz in the camp is just it is just amazing. You know, that group and that, you know, the players that we have in there right now, it's just coming together really well.
Louise, in terms of obviously the country, obviously we're in a good place to qualify, you know, and there's obviously a great buzz around the country. You could see it in Tala when you're at the games. You've obviously played abroad as well, and many countries that are progressing rapidly. Like, what do you think if we actually did qualify? What could it do for us as a country in terms of the sport, in terms of the grassroots game, just the country in general, and women's and girls football around the place? You know, what do you think, you know, qualifying for a major tournament could do for the sport?
I just think it's what's going to just make it explode and make the league, you know, turn what we wanted to turn into, like at least semi-professional, get up to that level. I think that'll just happen instantly. I think, you know, you saw it with the hockey, you know, kind of qualifying Olympics, World Cups, everything, and you can just see that sport again. It's just taken off, and then you see it again in so many other countries. So again, Italy would actually be a really kind of a prime example for me, and it is one of those tough ones. They absolutely love and adore football, but then you know, they don't kind of give the women's game the respect that it should. But then they go and they qualify for the Euros, I think it was, and I think they were kind of the underdogs, just going all the way through and actually just playing unbelievable football. Like they were probably my favorite team to watch, to be honest, about what they were bringing to the games. But then again, so you can see that now, and now next year the Italian league, the Serie A, is going, like, you know, fully professional. There's all the standards have to be met. and then just watching and kind of seeing how the mentality then of that has changed. Like the girls would have been telling me stories about even in the last year or two, just what's changed and how actually people look at women's football, differently, and actually see still as much, same in the men's game, the passion, the skill that goes on in Italian football is absolutely ridiculous.
Hopefully it's something for us to look forward to. I'm loving the mindset shift by the whole team, and obviously we just can't wait to see you play against Sweden. It feels like it's been a while since we've seen you play a competitive game, so really, really looking forward to that one. Louise, thanks so much for joining us on the COYGIG podcast. It's been a pleasure.
Thanks for having me, girls. Absolutely.
Thanks, Louise.
Pleasure. Loved it.
Well, that's all from myself, Pearl and Emma on this week's COYGIG Pod on OTB Sports in association with Cadbury FC, official snack partner to the Republic of Ireland's women's national team. As ever, we'll be back with you again next week, so make sure you're subscribed to the COYGIG Pod feed in all your usual places, and we will chat to you next week.
The COYGIG Pod on OTB Sports in association with Cadbury. A player and a half deserves a glass and a half of support.